So I am back from TFcon, and my voice is gone, but that's not here nor there, because when I woke up Monday morning and I walked down to the lobby, getting ready to get into my car to drive home, I was shown on many a fan's phones, "Hey, Proto Man, you won't believe it." And what was that I saw? But a Chaos Bringer staring right back at me, saying, "Hey man, it's a nice wallet you got there." Oh boy, this thing. I know some people are probably waiting for me to talk about this. So, for those that don't know, Hasbro has their HasLab division, which is used for their high-end products for a more adult-based audience. And to find a venue in order to put out some of these high-end items, they run a form of a crowdfunding project to make some of these items happen. They've done this in the past with Star Wars. They recently revealed one with the Muppets through Sesame Street's Cookie Monster. And now we have the Chaos Bringer Unicron as the next one to be happening. We've seen a lot of stuff in Transformers, a lot of big guys, a lot of big dudes. But this one is going to be the biggest of them all. And what's even more crazy is I feel like Hasbro was slowly getting us ready for this, whether we liked it or not. We saw the increase of singular Transformer products at their base price points through Masterpiece and even through retail here in America slowly start to creep up. Deluxes became $29.99 in Canada, or $21.99 United States. All of a sudden, we have a Commander class that is cracking the 3-digit point, and we have, of course, our big Supreme class, or whatever you want to call it, the Titan class, for all our big base formers and stuff, and making us get used to the idea of spending exuberant amounts of money on big boys, on big characters. And sorry, my voice is finished. And this is nuts, because it's like, we got Masterpiece Dinobot and Masterpiece Megatron that were cracking at that 300 to 350 price point, and we were already going like, oh man, like we're really getting up there now. And then this drops in our lap, and it's a big one. Now, granted, what I see here, what is engineered here, what we got here, I don't want to say that it makes sense at the price, but it definitely makes sense when compared to everything else we have currently in the environment. I'll just break it down quickly here. So, Unicron, which is going to be based on his Generation 1 1986 Fluoro-Deary design, matching the colors perfectly, is going to be getting this massive figure. And I should have probably seen this written on the wall, because if we actually look at the trademarking for Unicron, the last time there was a Hasbro product of the Chaos Bringer himself was 2016 with the Platinum / I guess we'll call it like the Amazon edition. Showed up on Big Bad Toy Store afterwards, but it was that Platinum Edition Unicron in 2016. So we know how the 3-year license works, 3-year trademark, and well, here we are 3 years later, and it's time to dole out the next Unicron toy. Could have been a tiny turbo changer, could have been a tiny Titan, but that was not the case. It had to be something a little more. The funny thing is the same year that they did that premium Supreme Unicron, they also did a Tiny Titan in the same year. So they got 2 out in 1 year. But that was it. Nothing in 2017, nothing in 2018, and 2019 is here. And when 2019 is going to be up, it's going to be time to reapply that trademark. So the plan will be, obviously, to have something of Unicron within 2020 and 21, 22. And here it is. So let's go through this slowly. So 50 points of articulation. including articulated fingers. It's probably going to be articulated like crazy. It says here movable eyes, which that's an interesting one, because if there's one thing that I never really noticed about Unicron is his ability to move his eyes. He shoots lasers out of his eyes. He'll lose his eyes through dubious means, but he'll never move them. So I don't know what they mean by that. I'm probably will get a better idea in the future. Articulated mouth and teeth. They probably just mean more of the mouth. To open it up so he could chew on stuff, eat Galvatron, shoot some flaming slag, no pun intended, some flaming slag at some Junkion ships. And then we have posable planetary rings. So obviously the rings are going to be slightly articulated, but even not too important there. It's probably more, I imagine, a product of the transformation itself, because the rings were never an articulated thing in fiction. It was just kind of static. Custom stand. They mention how because this thing is so huge that the robot, the alt mode itself, requires a custom stand to make it look like it's floating. And let's talk about how heavy he is. He is 19 pounds of pure evilness, as they put it here. And this thing is crazy. This thing, like the alt mode itself, like there's some photos with some of the Takara employees here, and this thing looks like just massive. Like it's just absolutely huge. There's a photo next to Titan's Return Fortress Maximus, which, as it stands currently until this comes out, the largest transformer ever made, and it's just towering over it at 27 inches. It's very big. It is one big mofo. For those that don't know, Fort Max is 23 inches, so this has an extra 4 inches on him. Definitely the measuring contest that you probably think I'm referring to. It even has, like in the alt mode, if you twist like an inner ring, there's almost like a mech tech kind of gimmick going on, where it makes the chewing of the mouth like when he ate the planet of Linthos. So this is crazy. This is crazy. What I like also is, judging by how it is here, because it's Hasbro Lab functions outside of the standards and practices of retail toys for safety. So we're going to have a lot of sharp edges and pointy places for this toy. So it's not going to be rounded and safer and softer like, say, previous Unicron toys were done. So that's another nice thing, because he has all his little spikes all over his body, and they look sharp and menacing. The last thing we should probably talk about, and this is the one that makes everyone bite their bottom lip, is the price. Man, oh man. So, we're looking at a attempt from them, essentially, to get a crowdfunding of 8,000 people, and they hope to do it within the next, as of this recording, 47 days. And they expect to do that if everyone shells out to get one of these $574.99, pretty much $575 American. For my Canadian brothers here, that's $750. Take a deep swallow for that for a second. So this is going to be an expensive boy, so to speak. Looks great. Don't get me wrong. Looks really good. But he's going to be an expensive guy. Now, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of third-party collectors that have made the deep dive on some massive guys like Utopia, and I'm trying to remember the name of the Omega Supreme that we had too. But they're used to that, spending those big, almost, $500,000 on these big third-party items that don't have Hasbro's blessing of iconic characters. And now we have this thing, so I'm pretty sure they're going to be just fine. They're going to be like, oh, it's Tuesday for us for this stuff. But for the average Transformer fan, notwithstanding, this is going to be something that it'll be probably impossible for them. These are guys, like most average Transformer fans, they look at Masterpiece as the end-all be-all of Holy Grails, and even then sometimes that's priced out for them at $150, $200, $250, and $300. So to have something that's $575, and according to some people that have already made the plunge, there's going to be tax applied on this too. You're talking over $600. And yes, is it going to be the biggest Transformer ever made up to that point? Yeah. Is it going to look very much so like the original 86 character from the most iconic, piece of animation fiction within our community? Of course it's going to look like it. Is it going to be like the end-all be-all for Unicron up to this point compared to all the previous toys? Of course. Is it going to make guys who bought this immediately get rid of every piece of Unicronian merch that they got that was supposed to be the placeholder for something like this, whether it be someone who has that Lone Armada toy or the 2010 Japanese reissue or the Platinum Edition? Probably. But this thing's going to be tough for a lot of people. It really will be. John Warden did a little video to hype it up, saying that, we need the fans to do this. And I agree, because this is something that they would have not been able to do themselves and put in retail. Again, just the safety stuff on it, all the spikes, the price point in a very, weak, diminishing toy market for retail. Toys R Us is no more, so there's no place to sell it. This is something that if it did exist, the only place it would be able to exist in is something like a GameStop, where they're used to these high digit items. If you're talking a $500 Unicron, it's going to be next to a $500 PlayStation or something. So it would be that would be the only place I could even see it kind of existing. And they'd probably have 2 per store, and they would get scalped like crazy, like everything else, like an Amiibo or something. And Walmart would have no place for something like this. So it's something that in the retail world today, it would not be able to exist. It's something that's totally made for the HasLab, and to have all those spikes and everything, and just be that heavy, so it probably can't even handle a drop test, which is a typical test for safety with toys. But there's a lot going on here. There is a lot going on here. It's I feel like I must be missing something. But at the same time, it's this is something that I didn't know we needed. Let's put it this way. I do feel that when you kind of let this digest, it makes sense. If we're going to have the biggest Transformer toy out of all our collection, it should be Unicron. Our Unicron toy, which has always been relegated to Supreme class at its biggest, should not be, hiding under that of Metroplex and Fortress Maximus from Titans. So it's something that I feel it's appropriate. It's something that I feel when this does come out, the third-party community is going to start make little mini Transformers to kind of accompany this. But at the same time, I don't know. And what's hilarious? As we're talking, I'm just looking at my cell phone, and I'm just getting text messages of people who are seeing this for the first time. And it's just a big WTF for a lot of them, who, as fans that I've known for years, they've bought in deluxe toys, they pick up the odd masterpiece here and there of a character they like, and they love the 86 movie, but then they see this and go, this is out of my budget. This is out of for some people, this is a car payment. This is sometimes for lower end, it's a half of a mortgage payment. So for a lot of people, it's a tough one. If you want to honestly ask, for me, it's not a big issue. It's not a big issue because I'm a guy who is always on the hunt for extremely high-end Japanese G1 or animation cells. So I always have that barrel in the gun for when I got to pull the trigger for something like this. And I don't see this as some kind of, this is just Tuesday Unicron release. This is something that they really intend to make it a special release. And I don't see them doing something like this again anytime soon afterwards. Imagine if they went back to the well and they wanted to do something just equally as huge. The only one you could think of is Primus. And Primus just doesn't have that cachet and animated iconography that Unicron has. So it's something that, like, what would you do next? They already did all those, I guess Scorponok, but then in all honesty, I feel that this will be something for Transformers, and we probably won't see something like this for a while from them. Assuming, and here's the kind of my little closing statement on this, assuming that we get enough backers, and my phone is still blowing up, just keeps vibrating from all the different people about this. Assuming that we get enough backers, because so this thing has been live now for about a dozen or so hours, and of the 8,000 target, they've only gotten, as of this recording, 502. I mean, by the time you're listening to this, it's going to probably be more than that. But I don't know if they'll be able to hit it. I don't know. It's something where I wonder, is it also open to international for the Japanese? Do they want to get on top of this? Do they have an ability to give their money also to be able to get in on this? Because I think if that's the case, if the Japanese could also, then maybe we might stand a chance to hit the 8,000 no problem. I'm reminded of when they wanted to do a Grand Max reissue, and they said if we hit a certain number, we would be able to have a Pretender shell with it, and they didn't hit that pre-order number, unfortunately, in Japan. So it's something here where it's like 8,000, Let's make 8,000 of these. Is it possible to do that? But we need you to each throw in 600 USD pretty much after taxes to make this happen. And the question is, in the economy that exists in different parts of the world, is that $600 that you have waiting to use, and how important is this character to you? I know some people that this won't be a problem. They probably already clicked and they didn't even think about it. But for a lot of others, this is something where they're going to be like, you know what, I think I might need to take a second job. It's something where I imagine that they'd have to literally go, you know what, if I work, this place on weekends for like a month, that paycheck will at least, lead up to owning that Unicron toy. And, not to take Hasbro's side here and be biased. I've always been very, in the middle when it comes to this and logical, but the way I see it is, if you kind of, in this case, because Proto Man always says wait in a lot of scenarios, but in this case, let's say you did wait, right? Let's say this, you wait, it does get backed, because if you wait and it doesn't get backed, then, no one wins. But if you wait and it does get backed, what are the chances of you being able to pick this up cheaper later? Yeah, there might be the one guy who bought it for 600 and then, he has problems in his house or he has to move or something, and he'll toss it up on a buy-sell trade forum, and we'll get, he'll be like, you know what, I bought it for 6, give me 4. There might be that one guy. But I think in general, this is going to be an item that, people are going to try to take advantage of. I mean, they even have here, it says 5 per person, which I find funny, because I think they're almost aware that people are going to try to take advantage of this and buy it for 600 and try to resell it for 1,000, 1,005, who knows? But I've seen it before. I'll never forget when Metroplex came out. I believe it was BotCon, correct me if I'm wrong, I would think it was BotCon 2014. It was the one that they did in San Diego. I think it was 13. Anyways, so they did, BotCon 2013 in the dealer room. Big Bad Toy Store got a skit, giant skit, must have been like 150 of them, of Metroplex. And a whole bunch of people got excited, and before you know it, that skit was barren. Everyone bought it. I think they bought it for like $150 or something. And I was laughing because I'm like, man, how are they going to take that home on the plane? But it showed that, people got into the hype. They went crazy. They bought Metroplex, and then Ollie's a couple of months later were dropping that Metroplex for, I think it was like 30, and Costco had that same Metroplex for like 50. So, but that's a retail product. This isn't that case. This is something where we're not going to have like a whole bunch of these kicking around, and liquidations are going to be needed. I almost feel like this is going to be something where when it hits that 8,000, they're going to do their 8,000, and all the individuals that made the dive are going to pretty much stick with their product. And really the only way you'll be able to get it in the secondary market is either a guy who's getting rid of it, whether he's trying to make profit or he's going to cut some just to be able to move it, or people who take advantage of the we could buy 5 and then make it part of their online store or their pop-up convention appearance at a TFcon or whatever. I feel like I've talked enough about this. Let me know what you think. Let me know if this is your bag, if this is your game. I mean, 86 movie is so important to me, and Unicron was the centerpiece of it. But even me, it's like, I could pull the trigger on this, but I think I need to go into some deep meditation on it first, because I just got back from TFcon, and I pretty much didn't find anything that really, piqued my interest of the rare and interesting. Got little things here and there, but nothing too important. So, who knows? Yeah, you know what? Maybe this might be a sign, because it was like I didn't find anything at TFcon, so might as well put my money over here and end up with the Chaos Bringer. But let me know what you think about this